Hello and welcome, everyone. And this is the Sports is My Love Language podcast. I want to say, what's up, people? What's going on? You know, we're a little just, it's me and my man, Petey Pablo, tonight. My man, El Schefter. He's going to be dropping some dope news and some information. As always, he gets it. Sometimes he gets it even before like ESPN and all them get it. So he's the source, man. I know I treat him as the source. So I'm really excited about some of the stuff that he has on the plate. Shout out to my man Akil. Shout out to my man Javi. Doing big boy things. Shout out to my man Andre. They'll be, hopefully we'll get them back on soon, and we can get back to the usual banter. Well, I want to welcome everybody to our living room. Welcome to our barbershop, where sometimes we take an analytical point of view, sometimes we take it straight from the gut. But we're gonna let you know how we feel, and we want to hear how you feel. We're gonna walk off the beaten path and talk sports from a different angle. Tonight, man, we got a loaded plate, bro. NBA, WBC, NFL, trade rumors, trades and free agency, Lamar Jackson. We got just so much going on in sports that it's a good time to be a fan. College football, spring practices are kicking off. I got a couple of jewels on different teams that I'm looking at and different things that I'm taking a look at. Also, maybe touch on a little bit of Cam Newton. Is he bugging out? Is he better than 32? I don't think. We'll touch on that as well. But for the most part, let's go. Let's start it up, man. My man Petey, what do you got for us? Where do you want to start it off?
All right, let's just start off. Let's get the NFL talk. There'll be plenty of that coming up over the next couple of months leading up to the draft. So,
yeah, man.
Let's talk about your team. I know we like to talk local teams, when we have all the guys here, we're all Northeast guys, but it's interesting what's going on with your team, man. They're relevant. They're relevant, and the moves that they're making are really good moves as a whole.
Yeah,
so if you insert Rodgers, like when it finally happens, right?
Yeah.
Where does that put them? Where does that put them, though?
Okay, so
we're just assuming he's there.
I wanted to start right around there. But okay, so my New York Jets. For all the guys that know me, I am huge Jets fan. Oh man, it hurts, but that's what I am. I'm a Jets fan. And here's the thing: my whole life, there's been 2 times of the year where I could be a fan of football. I don't even play football with most people. It's the day before the draft, the day of the draft, when we got an early pick and we're picking somebody up, right? And the day before football season starts. Those are the 2 days a year where I could be excited as a fan. After that, it kind of goes downhill. You know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you. This year, there's a different buzz. There's a different buzz around my Jets based on how a lot of our key components played last year and what they did, the buzz that they created, okay? So here's the thing. We're a team that's loaded with young talent. We are loaded with young talent. We don't just have young talent. We're loaded with young talent at all different skill positions, all right, which is awesome, okay? We have a wide receiver that won Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, at wide receiver, with not a quarterback that you could recognize and mention. Those 32 quarterbacks that Cam Newton's talking about, we probably played like 3 of them. That's who he's talking about. Our starting quarterbacks. That's who he's talking about. The irrelevance, okay? And this guy still 1,100 yards, catches, yards after catch, just was an animal. I'm talking about Wilson. Breece Hall was, I knew he was going to be good, but he surprised me at what level good. Let's put it this way. If I compare what Brock Purdy did in his short amount of time to what Breece Hall did, Breece Hall was more impressive. What Breece Hall did was more impressive because he had a lesser surrounding cast, and his numbers were actually ridiculous during the time that he was healthy. So that's why, like, towards the end, when people were like, "Oh, Brock Purdy should be involved in that competition. He should be." Oh, well, then if that case, Breece Hall should be there.
No, his numbers. I would disagree with that because Breece Hall got injured way early in the year.
Yes, but if you look at the numbers and the number of games that they both played, it was comparable. I'm totally comparing Breece Hall to Brock Purdy because that's what they said about Brock.
Yeah, but you couldn't have a player that got injured at the beginning of the year and not be a contender for that award.
Yeah, what I'm saying is
it's still a recency bias.
If you're gonna give him 5 games, give me 5 games, and no, I'm just saying what people were saying. What I was, if his name kept coming up, and I was like, hey, you're gonna give him the 5 games, give my guy the 5 games, and my guy's 5 games are way more impressive because he was circling almost 1,000 yards. That's how good he was in 6 games. He was a monster. Point being, we have him, we have Carter, we have another running back. We're low, we're good. Okay, here's the deal. Offensive line, we're shoring that up now. I think that's where the concentration is going to be. And it brings me to the elephant in the room, my man Aaron Rodgers. Was he my number one choice? No.
No, you're on record that it was Clark.
Greatness, because I do believe the man is good. He's great. I believe all that. He's fantastic. His ability is second to none. I just see young kids. Why don't we get a quarterback that's going to be with them longer? You know what I'm saying? Not just 1 year, 2 years. Let's get a quarterback that's going to be there 5 years that can grow with these guys. This is a good group of guys under rookie contract. Let's keep that core. So that's whatever. But if you're telling me we're going to get Aaron Rodgers, I'm with it 100%, bro. Because let me tell you something. The moves that they made, we had a guy named Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore should be a superstar in this league. He's that good. He should be, skill-wise, he should be a superstar in the right offense. You give it to a guy like Andy Reid, you give it to a guy like, Sean Payton, this guy will be phenomenal. I don't know what he's going to do in Cleveland. That's football hell. But he's that good. He was disgruntled already. Yeah. He felt like he wasn't targeted. He felt like he wasn't getting the ball. He wasn't the focal point of the offense. He saw that Wilson was the focal point of the offense as far as wide receivers are concerned. And he was bitching and he was moaning. He didn't like his role. They said, okay, no problem. Let's replace him with a veteran speedster with championship experience and pair him. And they bring in, what is it, Hardman? Hardman's his name, right?
Nicole Hardman, yeah.
Hardman. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love that. I know it's a waste of a first round pick, what it looks like to a lot of people, but to get the cancer out of the locker room, and it was addition by subtraction, in my opinion. Right? And then we have Lazard. They bring in Lazard. Okay, let's set the plate. Let's set the table for a guy like Aaron Rodgers to feel comfortable. Because now he has quality receivers across the board, quality running backs, but he also has a familiar face out there that he already has a little chemistry with. You know what I mean? So let's bring him in. Now, the thing with him is this. I think introducing Aaron Rodgers automatically makes us a playoff team. Our defense is top 5. Our defense is top 5, and it's solid all the way around. And we haven't really lost a lot of key pieces. We're actually in really good shape there. Offensive line, if our left tackle, which by all accounts has lost a ton of weight, has gotten himself to a physical peak, and looks phenomenal, comes in and performs the way he performed early on in his first year, we're going to be in really good shape.
Yeah, because what they're saying about the Jets is they need to shore up that offensive line, but
right.
really, I don't think that's fully accurate. It's partially accurate because what makes that fully accurate is if Becton isn't back or doesn't live up to that. Because if he does at your left tackle, then you have Vera Tucker as your guard.
Right.
You got Connor McGovern as your center, who's a veteran coming up, the Cowboys. I think he was in the Cowboys. You have Duvernay Tardif, and you've got some other guys. So what I'm saying. So the potential for that line being good
is there.
It's already there. If Becton, like you said, he's lost that weight. He looks
recommitted.
So if he pans out like that, then I think you're good at your line because you have your left tackle good. Vera Tucker, I think, is your right guard, right?
Yeah,
I believe. And your center is good.
That's a lot of ifs.
No, but Vera Tucker was good last year, and you have a veteran center. So if Becton,
that's a lot of ifs, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't really think so. I think if you pair it up against other teams, we're actually that's not that bad, man.
That's what I'm saying.
The one if is signing Rodgers. That's the big if. And I think that by all accounts, both sides want to do it. We have some decent leverage. We're in a good position. We're not in a bad position to get it done. It's just a matter of the compensation and a second round pick for Aaron Rodgers. Hell yeah! I don't think they're going to give up a first. I don't think that was.
Well, that's been a debate, right? So we could talk about that.
Yeah.
Do you give up the 13th overall pick for Aaron Rodgers?
No.
First round?
Not if you don't have. Look, that'd be a bad negotiation to me, man, because he wants to be here, and the pressure's on the Packers. The pressure's on the Packers. They're gonna have to pay him. They got $60 million on the books that they'll have to pay.
But they don't have to pay that till the first week of the season.
Right. But I'm saying, regardless, they're going to have to make a move because then you have him on the books. You got the starting quarterback supposedly there. There's a lot. That creates, to me, it creates confusion in the locker room. It doesn't make sense to me. It wouldn't make sense. You know, I'm thinking a second and they pair that with maybe either another second or even a third round pick. You know what I mean? Like I see that more happening than that first round pick going with them. I honestly would love to spend that either on an edge rusher or a lineman. Edge rusher or a lineman. Because we got two linemen that are getting a little longer than two. McGovern is
maybe they could turn that second round pick they got for Elijah Moore because now they've got two back-to-back second round picks.
Well, that's why getting rid of that, giving up that second, you know, is one of those, is like whatever. But I would hate to see them pair the first one.
But I also think that they would have to give up some players.
Maybe that's why they're stocking. As long as they don't touch Breece Hall, Sauce, you know those.
No, I don't think the Packers are dumb enough to go there. But like, you know, maybe CJ Mosley. I heard was talk of a piece
CJ's contract is so huge that, to be honest with you, in the long run, it'll help us. And yeah, he's a great player, but
that's kind of one of the names that were thrown out there as a potential piece.
But here's the thing, Pablo. I don't mind it because the linebacker is a dying position. As important as it is, it's a dying position, and it's like the running back, where they're coming out a dime a dozen, man. The middle linebacker is coming. It's no longer the focal point where before he was the eyes and ears of that offense. Now it's kind of shifted where the defensive backs are making more calls, and he's still the mic and all that stuff, but I just feel like at the price tag that we're paying him, we're probably going to lose him anyway. You know what I'm saying? He's probably going to be one of the cap casualties in a couple of years anyway, in about a year or two. You know what I mean?
And to your earlier point about the offense, you've got Garrett Wilson. That will be your one. Lazard will be your two. Mecole Hardman will be your slot. You still have Corey Davis, who I think might be a cap casualty though.
Yeah, no,
you still got Corey Davis.
Let's consider him.
Is Denzel Mims recoverable? He's if talk about disgruntled, you would have thought they would have gotten rid of him first before they even get rid of Elijah Moore. But I guess Elijah Moore's been more vocal. You've got some quality tight ends. I mean, decent tight ends. You got Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzama. Mm-hmm. Uzama was having a decent year last year. So, yeah. But we're, in terms of in the division, where do you see it? And let's go with this assumption. Let's go with this assumption. Tua is fully healthy in Miami, and they've got an improved defense. And Buffalo is Buffalo.
Okay, so this is probably going to catch me a little heat, but I'm going to say we're 3. But at the end of next year, I would not be surprised if we were at number 2. And it's not the team that you think falling off. I think that we saw some serious dents in that Buffalo team. And if they don't shore up their run game and they don't give Allen maybe another quarterback guru to get in his ear, I really think that they'll slip. I really think they'll slip. A lot of people don't. I think towards the end of the year, I saw a lot of dents in a team with that. In the beginning of the year, I was like, "Yo, this team is a Super Bowl team. They're monsters." So I'm going to go Buffalo. I'm going to start it off Buffalo, Miami, New York. It would not surprise me if it ended up being Miami, New York, Buffalo, or in any, you know what I'm saying? It kind of switched orders, maybe even Miami, Buffalo, New York. Anyway, those two interchangeable at 2 and 3. But Miami, I think, is going to slide up to 1. I love what they did bringing in Jalen Ramsey to pair him with what do you
Xavier
call it?
Howard.
What do you call it? Somebody even put
Xavier Howard. Yeah.
What do you look at this? Exactly what I'm saying. They think he's seen his ceiling. Can we have maybe. I mean, his arm is his arm. He's got that gun that he could always count on. So we don't know with the right quarterback guru in his ear. He's still mobile. You know what I'm saying? But
the
he has
glass
to
ceiling for Allen is in the playoffs. He's got to break that breakthrough.
Yes, and he has to take
stats wise and all that. He's going to be fine stats wise. I guess he still needs to work on those turnovers. But he knows that. So I guess we'll see whether he does that adjustment or not. We'll know next year, right?
Yeah.
But for him, it's that mental getting over the hump in the playoffs.
I think
it's starting to borderline Peyton Manning, like get over the humps in the playoffs.
Underestimating the loss of Brian Dable. Yo, we're underestimating that loss, bro. That guy, because now that I'm watching what he's doing with Danny Dimes, making him a serviceable quarterback, and then you have a guy like Allen who, first 3 years was not very good. Bring in a true number 1 receiver in Diggs, and pair him up with a good quarterback guy in his ear, and all of a sudden this guy starts to blossom. And I think it's now we have tape on him, and he's way more accurate, and I think he has a better arm. But he's going a lot of Cam Newton. He's catching a lot of punishment, man.
Yeah,
he's getting hit a lot, bro.
But I think he's also dishing out a lot of punishment too.
No, I'm sure,
which catches up to you. But overall, it's still
that's whether you're giving it or you're eventually there's only so many car accidents you could be in, man. And that's what I'm just hoping that somebody gets back in his ear and they're able to like take some of that pressure off him, because they became very one-dimensional.
So yeah, and we'll see what happens, because that defense automatically is going to be better next year when Von Miller comes back.
Yeah.
And they kept Matt Milano. They re-signed Jordan Poyer, which
Vaughn is a playoff piece. He's a playoff.
That's what I'm saying, right? So, but you're right. It's going to be a very interesting. Oh, there's Manny.
Can you still hear him, Mark? You hear it?
Yeah.
How about now? Can you still hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, take it over for a little bit. I gotta settle him down. Hey,
no worries.
Come here. Good boy. Good boy, puppy. Good boy. My brother-in-law came in, and he's not used to it. Okay, house.
You gotta train them good though. There you go. Yeah. So, but anyway, so it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be the same type of hype that the AFC West was coming into last year.
Mm-hmm.
But again, assuming Miami's healthy, if Buffalo's that consistency and Rodgers is there, I think this is gonna be the battle that I think people were expecting out of the AFC West last year.
You always have New England, bro. Can't ever count them out. You always have New England. New England's always gonna have some kind of defense, some kind of strategy. They're gonna dip and claw, and they have the potential to beat any one of those other teams in the division at any point in time. You know what I mean? Just because of Bill Belichick, one right there.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. It'll be interesting. So the other, big name quarterback that's been in the news, and we talked about it last week in terms of his individual contract situation, is Lamar Jackson. But I'm curious, and for those that are watching that didn't see, there was a press release by the NFL that said that there's someone who is a business partner of Lamar Jackson on outside of the NFL. I think it's Gym Equipment. Supposedly who's not a certified NFL agent. Supposedly contacting teams to, hey, talk to Lamar. And Lamar is, denying it. And obviously, his business partner, Ken Francis, is denying it. So, but what do we think this means? Because it's the union that notified the league. The union told the league this was happening. Yeah. And the league told the teams, hey, remember, we can fine you, whatever it was, like $40-something thousand, $50,000, whatever it is, for talking to a non-NFLPA certified agent. And he
wants to know, are they gatekeeping him?
Well, what is the like? Because at first I thought, okay, who does this benefit? But then I hadn't seen because I was at the gym and I just caught it briefly. If the union is notifying the league about this, then it can't be the union doing it, right? It can't be the union doing it. I don't think it serves the purposes of the league, of the teams, to get people talking to Lamar Jackson because they're trying to not play the game that they don't want to do the market research for the Ravens, right? So where does this like play in?
So
by just being out there,
chess, not checkers.
Of course,
I don't think this is a point counterpoint situation. What I'm thinking now is that this was the NFLPA's way of putting it out there that, hey, in other words, you can't negotiate with this guy, but Lamar's open for negotiation.
Like it's just keeping that message out there, right?
I think that's what they realized. But they realized, I pointed it out last week when we had the when I talked, what do you call it, the Lamar Jackson, when we talked about it. What made me sick, what was pissing me off and making me sick was that I felt the NFL owners had an unfair advantage when it came to the media because they were able to leak things, right, through, let's say, an Adam Schefter, who has to have a good relationship with the teams because that's his livelihood, right, in such a way to disparage anything Lamar was doing or Lamar was saying, right? So every time Lamar came out and thought he was saying something innocent, like, that's not what they said. That's not what they offered me. All of a sudden it became, oh, maybe he's not such a good teammate. Maybe he's a little disgruntled. All of a sudden these adjectives started getting attached to his name. You know what I'm saying? And you had mentioned something last week that said, no, he should just come out and he has the power to da-da-da. And what we are seeing is that he does, but the manipulation on the other side was so strong that I feel like the NFLPA and the groups, they got together and they were like, yo, he's getting railroaded and we see what they're doing. The collusion is real and we have to fight fire with fire and we have to fight chess with chess. So what are we going to do? We're going to make these subtle moves. Now what we're going to start seeing is a lot more of Lamar's side being leaked. And I think that is where the NFL Players Association is playing their part. I think that's where we're going to see it, where these leaks are going to start coming in. Now, we all agree this could have been resolved had he had an agent, because this is the agent's job. The agent's job is to push these leaks. It's to call his contacts and be like, yo, put this story out. Put it out.
Well, and agents have better relationships with team executives.
Exactly. And they have more leverage against these owners because they can look at them and say, deal with Lamar. But remember, I got Nick Chubb, this guy, and this guy coming up. So you guys better play ball nice. You know what I'm saying? And without that,
I don't think like, I know when you say collusion, but it's not collusion against Lamar. The only actual collusion is the non-exclusive franchise tag because that's built-in collusion.
Yes, and that's exactly.
So they're not sitting there calling each other about Lamar. That's not what the owners are doing.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Than Lamar.
To me, this isn't about Lamar Jackson. This is about the NFLPA wanting to push the fully guaranteed contracts for all NFL players, and the owners don't. This is to me with Lamar Jackson. This is to me is not even about Lamar Jackson. This is not about his talent. This is about is he worth a big ass contract? Nobody's gonna dispute that on any side of it. And it doesn't help that Lamar has taken the stance of wanting more than Deshaun Watson fully guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not helping the case, and that's actually the trigger.
So, Paul, let me ask you a question. It's already come out that he never asked for the fully guaranteed contract. That's been out. He that's from Lamar.
Tweeted?
I never asked for a fully guaranteed contract. That's from his mouth. He said that. So now,
when did he say it? Because I didn't see it. I'm not saying I didn't see it.
He said it, and but what they're beefing now is that but they're giving him so much and the 200. Now, is he asking for 200 million? I'm not saying he's not asking for a ridiculous amount, but he came out. That's why he was like, we'll see. It's very interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, none of us have answers.
Yeah, but that's assuming that because if we want to sit there and not take the word of one side, but you want to sit there and take the word of another one.
Exactly. We have to see how this comes out. There's still a lot of he said, she said, a lot of gamesmanship.
But I think what's making this harder is the bigger narrative of guaranteed contracts in the NFL.
Yeah,
That's what's doing this, and that's why I fully believe that outlier that is Deshaun Watson's contract is not even to a certain degree, not even about that. But that was the like, so Kirk Cousins opened that gate, right? Opened that door, but it was only $86 million for 3 years, and you got a good amount up front. So per year, it wasn't a big deal. But Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns kicked that fucking door wide open.
Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, he was the real guinea pig, of all the quarterbacks that would deserve that. There you go. Of all the quarterbacks, he would be the least one that would deserve a contract like that.
Out. Good boy.
And that's what makes this harder, because Deshaun Watson didn't deserve that contract.
No,
he didn't deserve that contract. If that would have been like, that's the contract, actually, to be fair, that Lamar Jackson should have gotten. He should have probably been the first for that. If that was going to happen, if an owner was going to break that, protocol. But we all know why that happened with Deshaun. It was desperation by Cleveland. It was just pure desperation.
Out.
So it is what it is. But I think this is the beginning of a big battle between the union and the league about guaranteed contracts for all players. Because DeMaurice Smith already came on record last week. He said it. It should be a guarantee for everybody. Every contract should be guaranteed for NFL. So he's already joined the battle lines.
How about Jeremy Tunsil picking up some of that money he lost on draft night with a monster contract?
Speaking of that, just reminded me another factor in this problem. You know who else doesn't want Lamar Jackson to succeed?
Who's that?
Agents.
Why do you say that? Why do you think that?
Because if players can begin to negotiate contracts at that level without agents, become a thing.
Absolutely.
It's going to become a thing.
Yeah.
Because Tunsil you're right. That's why you just reminded. Tunsil just did it for himself. He reset the left tackle market with his contract.
Yo, he made up all that money he lost on draft night, bro. He made that and plus.
So if Lamar gets this done without an agent, other players are going to start to realize, why do I got to pay that 4%?
Yeah, for what? Well, we'll see.
So that's another factor with power in this battle.
Mm-hmm.
And Lamar is stuck in the middle of this triangle. Yep. And that's why I think this is why this is not getting done with him. I think that's the biggest thing. It's not about Lamar. It's not about his talent. It's not about his record as a starting quarterback, even though I hate that stats for a QB. It's not about his skill sets. It's not about can he pass the ball or not. It's not, it's the only factor about him that gets a factor for what his money should be is his injury, his availability. That's really the factor that you can use in an equation to say, well, look, man, you've been hurt at critical times of the last 2 seasons when your team was playing well because of you. But when you needed to be there, unfortunately, you were not. And it doesn't matter why he was injured; it's just the fact that he was injured. It's not about a running quarterback or not. His 2 injuries weren't even about a running quarterback. It was any injury that anybody can get. So, but that's where I think that's going to end up. It's a huge battle.
I want to do a quick pivot, bro, only because the other guys aren't here. So I wanted to try something new. And I'm going to ask you a question. We had a long conversation about it the other day when we went to Applebee's. Was it Applebee's or whatever?
Was it? Chili's?
Chili's, there. What do you call it? I'm sending you a message right now. Yeah, man. What do you call it? I would like to talk a little bit because when I tell you I am knee deep in these TikTok videos where they document the Monday Night Wars for wrestling.
Okay.
Yo, dude, I went back. They did this top 10 tag teams of all time, right? They went back and told the story of the 4 horses. They went back and talked about when they were, the territories and how they came together. The story of WrestleMania 1. If you go on A&E, right now, if you load it, like I have a Roku, if I load A&E on my thing, it has a bunch of episodes of Beyond the Ring and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they have season 1, 2, and 3. Holy shit, bro. When I tell you I am like fucking balls deep in this like in this, what do you call it? I absolutely love it, man. You saw the Undertaker, the freaking Montreal screw job. What do you call it? I was talking the story of not Undertaker, of what do you call it? My man, the Warrior, and Goldberg's undefeated streak. You name it. I was like, man, that shit is crazy. But yeah, it was dope, man. It was dope. What do you call it? So I saw this thing, right? Give me your top 3 or 4 tag teams ever.
I'm not putting him in any order because I would have to think about that a little longer in terms of 1, 2, 3, and 4. But
Yeah.
my 4 probably favorite tag teams, top tag teams would be the Brothers of Destruction, which is Taker and Kane, Undertaker and Kane, the Steiner Brothers,
Yep.
the Road Warriors, / Legion of Doom, and probably because they epitomize what that wrestling business was back in the 70s and 80s is Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard of the Horsemen.
Okay, so I had to sit back because I was like, first of all, I told you and you're talking. I was like, I've been watching wrestling, WCW, and back in the days and all that stuff, and especially so like if you go on my YouTube, it's the funniest thing, bro. You go on my YouTube, you're gonna see college football episodes, clips of The Sopranos, and old school wrestling. That's all I watch on YouTube, and maybe Dr. Pimple Popper every now and then. But for the most part, what do you call it? It's those 3 things. So I'm constantly going back, and I'm remembering tag teams, right? Yo, I forgot how much, right? And I remember I was really young when they were out, but how cool I thought these guys were. And watching them now, it's hilarious because you're like, yo, these guys are the worst. But it's hilarious. It was like the Fabulous Freebirds.
Oh, but they're legends, man. They're legends.
Yeah. Or what do you call it? Yeah, the Fabulous Freebirds, and it was the oh man. They were like the rivals with them. Michael P.S. Hayes and
he's a Freebird. He's a Freebird. Those are the Freebirds.
They're not the Freebirds. It was they're not the one. They're not number 1 for me. They were like number 3. I had them at like number 3. Number 1 was the Rock? Not the Rockers. It was the man. What was the name? Is Bobby Eaton?
Oh, the Midnight Express.
The Midnight Express, bro.
Yeah.
There you go. Those motherfuckers were the precursor to like the Rockers and
Stan Hansen. No, not Stan Hansen. I think it's Stan Hansen and Bobby Eaton and
the third guy. Those are like my 2 old school teams. Don't get me wrong. In between there, I love the British Bulldogs. I love them. They were my honorable mention. Yeah. Love everyone like top 5. Honorable mention was British Bulldogs. I absolutely loved Demolition back in the day. What do you call it? Road Warriors absolutely have to go in it because of all the teams that imitated them that try to like duplicate their look and their attitude. With even Demolition was a knockoff, because there was an answer to what WCW was doing. I'm gonna say, what do you call it? So it was the Midnight Express. I had at number 2. It was a recent. Oh, okay, yeah. This is where it gets funny. Somebody said them, the Hardy Boys. I know not a lot of people will be like, whatever. What they did high flying, yo, that shit was next level to anybody else.
Yeah,
that's next level to me. That's why I put them up so high, and I liked a lot of their storylines and whatever. And when they came back, their pop was crazy. So the Hardy Boys, I guess we're going more favorites as opposed to like all-time legends. Yeah. So I'm gonna go 3, the Fabulous Freebirds, just because I love the swag, bro. I love the swag, smile and the walking. That shit cracks me up because when you look back at it now, you're like, why did I think these guys were so cool? Look at the shape of these guys, bro. They're a mess. They got like roots and dirty blonde hair and shit. It's hilarious, right? Hairy chest. It's funny as hell. So those 3, I'm gonna go at 4, the Legion of Doom. And at 5, the Steiner Brothers. I love
my 5th team to round out those 4 teams that I told you. My 5th team would be the Outsiders, which is Kevin Hall, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. So
Kevin Nash, you know who else was a good one? Who I absolutely love? Debo, get the tape. Debo, what is it? Debo? Get
Oh, the
the tape.
Dudley Boys, yeah,
The Dudley Boys. Remember the Bushwhackers?
yeah, they were hilarious.
The Mega Powers, Hogan and
I
Macho
mean,
Man.
there's some good ones. Yes, yeah. Someone wrote the Mega Powers. The Heart Foundation was always good.
Our foundation was solid, bro. The Hard Foundation was solid, man. The finishing moves. That's what. Remember, that's what we were talking about that night. What is your favorite? What are your favorite finishing moves?
Ooh, from a tag team. You just mentioned one tag team, which is the Dudley Boys. I love their
Table? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, when they do the flapjack into the cutter, the Dudley Death Drop, the 3D. So
Mhm.
that's one of my favorites. I love the Legion of Doom one, the Doomsday device. Yeah, he
You
puts
know
the
what?
guy on his shoulders and
I
and
actually
Hawk clotheslines him over.
the Hard Foundation when he picks him up, he comes close.
The heart
That's
attack, yeah, it's called the heart attack. The
Steiner line.
Steiners,
Hell,
yeah, the
Steiner.
Steiner line was good, whether it was on the shoulders and the bulldog off the top rope for the Steiners. Taker and Kane, they were just chokeslam or tombstone them, their guys at the same time. So
The
it's
last,
consistent. It's consistent with my teams in terms of their finishers.
the last thing I wanted to ask you, right? Are there any wrestlers who are not in the WWE Hall of Fame that you believe, right? And you know how most of the people are going to get into whatever. But there's always obscure jobbers that are not in the Hall of Fame that I believe should be in the Hall of Fame. There's guys like Iron Mike Sharp. Remember
But
Iron
is
Mike
he
Sharp?
but is he a Hall of Famer?
No, but he should be because he
I don't
was.
even know who that is.
You don't know who Iron Mike Sharp is? You got to Google him, bro. He had like the black, what do you call it on his arm? He was a jobber, but I remember him being an integral part of getting some of the best wrestlers I've ever seen, like in their first matches over. Him and you know who else? The Brooklyn Brawler.
I was gonna say that's the only jobber that should get into the Hall of Fame is Brooklyn Brawler.
He was another one. Who else? Coco Beware, who was borderline. You know what I'm saying? He was like
But he is a Hall of Famer.
oh yeah, he did. He got it. What do you call it? Oh yeah. So I'm watching. So that's what I was trying to tell you. So I'm knee deep in these documentaries and all this shit, right? And they get to the body slam of Andre the Giant, and that whole documentary, WrestleMania 3, and I started to go back to my childhood, and I started thinking about how dope that shit was back in the day, and how I truly believe that Andre the Giant had never been body slammed, and I truly believe
No, Hogan had done it in the past.
not only Hogan,
but others have done it in the
I body slammed them and whatever, but I truly believe that these guys had never been body slammed, that he had never been picked up, and and I actually thought he was 7'5". You know what I'm saying? 500 pounds and shit. I believe, man. Listen, I go back now, and I can't believe how much
Well, he wasn't 7'5", but he was still 7 feet. So,
yeah, he was like 7'2", 490 at his heaviest, whatever they said.
Yeah.
But still, he's a monster. What do you call it? Yeah, man. What do you think today's wrestling has to do? If it was a storyline, it was talent. What do you think they need to do to recapture the glory days?
It'll never happen again. It'll never happen again. For one reason only. The audience doesn't have the patience to bear out a storyline over a significant amount of time. Overall,
filming
everything is a spot. Everything's the big move. Oh, the big move and another big move and another big move, and there's no storytelling in the ring, which is how it used to be back in the day. And part of the reason is because the audience now has like they know the business.
Yeah,
they know it's a work. So the term they use is kayfabe, which is maintaining your character. Yeah. They know that that's dead because they know that these people are that, and it's so that not having that full attention for a long period of time is you can never get that back with today's audience, because the younger these kids get, the more they have to be stimulated with shit in general in their lives. It isn't even just about pro wrestling, just in general. They're on TikTok, quick video. That's what TikTok is so popular. They're quick shit. They go on to the next one, and go on to the next one, and go on to the next one. That's how they're stimulated. So that type of longevity in that business can never be recaptured ever again. It'll never happen again. It'll have to be some other type of glory days or golden age, but of a different way, but not the way it was in the past. It'll never happen again. Ever.
competition, the level of competition is if AEW becomes a better product, if not AEW,
Yeah, AEW.
AEW becomes a better product, I think that competition will stir storylines. I think storylines will stir.
Competition as a whole, in general, is good.
Here- Here's the thing, right? Let me just. I feel like they need to. The next phase of wrestling needs to be more like reality TV, where we don't know what's real or not.
It's
Where
too
like
late.
they had a storyline. No,
But
no, no,
that,
no. You know why? Because they had a storyline about which leaked into, and again they were talking about it, which leaked into real and fake, where Edge had actually slept with I believe it's Matt Hardy's wife
with a
or
girlfriend.
no,
It was
real
legal.
life.
Yeah,
In real life. Yeah, and it bled into
but they chose to use that
right.
to
And I
do
feel
the
like
storyline. In other words, it didn't become storyline and then it became real. It was real, and then they decided to
I
use
feel
it.
like they can. Here's what I'm saying though. I feel like if they started with the writers, the guys that do MTV Real World, right? Yeah, MTV Real World is a scripted show. Yet there's a large part of the audience that believes that these people are meeting for the first time and that they don't really know each other and they're going on these adventures for the first time all together, whatever, right? And I don't know how it would be done. So I'm with you, like, yeah, maybe they would, they can't. But in my opinion, I say it'd be cool to see that style of writing really permeate the WWE, where we even if we, I think a lot of smart audience, right? Even though we know, we kind of want to be, we want to be fooled.
It don't get me wrong, it's possible because you know why it's possible? Because it happens in every other type of genre.
Yeah,
Movies, television, right? It happens. You know what I'm saying? So people will let themselves get lost when watching, the Avengers. And
yeah,
people think Chris Hemsworth is Thor. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
they let themselves get lost in that. So it can be possible. But to your point is and I know, it was commented here, is yeah, they need to be more creative.
And you know what else they need? I think, pops, they need more ugly wrestlers. I think what they did is there's a look now of clean, like let's think of Braun Strowman, right? Braun Strowman is supposed to be this beast incarnate, this monster, right?
Make him look like a bitch.
Not a bad looking guy. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look this, you know what I'm saying? He's not. And I pointed out before, like one of the things that I loved about old school wrestling was a guy like Michael P.S. Hayes can come out with blonde mullet, ruffled chest hair. You know what I'm saying? What do you
Yeah.
call it? A guy like Ronnie Garvin could come out, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys were not good looking, but because of their swagger, because of the persona,
And
they overtook. And
yeah,
I feel.
and
Go
I
ahead, go
also
ahead.
think I think that there's a particular format that I think will always work in pro wrestling. The best, performers that get over are the ones that it is an aspect of themselves who they are in real life, but you turn the volume up to an 11, right?
What is the name? Ric Flair.
Austin, well, no, Ric Flair is an 11 because he is that life.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
not
yeah.
he's not turning it down when he gets home. He's that 24/7. But like Austin is the best example of that.
Right.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
who he is as a person. It's just he turns up the volume because he's not going out to the street and stunning people and drinking beer and flicking off everyone either.
yeah, yeah.
But he takes that personality and he just just turn that volume up. And I think in general that works. And that it can still work in the business, but there's so many caveats. Like in WWE, they script everything for them. They tell them what to say, what to do, so they can't even be themselves. Can't put an aspect of themselves into what they're trying to show. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
It was like, so for instance, right? There was one of the, like, these are older, even now I'm mentioning them, they're already these storylines are already 10, 50 years old. When The Rock and Cena wrestled, I had no idea they had underlying tension. You know what I'm saying? They were supposedly underlying tension. And when you watch the documentary of them meeting at WrestleMania or whatever, like you hear some of the shit that he talked and some of the stuff that he said or whatever. And I was like, yo, That's pretty dope, man.
Well, that all stemmed because of what Cena did say about Rock years before. That he claims he's always going to be WWE, but then he left to go to the movies, and he's been here.
Yeah.
But then years later, he just repeated the same thing, and he's
doing it again. He's doing it,
and he realized that, and he ended up, basically apologizing to him, privately, saying, I get it.
See, but I'm with all that. Like that. That's the kind of.
But yes, it added to the story because there was realism to it, and then they kind of went over the top with it.
Now they should be getting into if there should be a whole storyline, all right, about how Brock Lesnar is about to abandon the WWE. How he's about to just abandon them.
Well, I think his contract is up.
Yeah, no, exactly. But he's also going to go fight John Jones at heavyweight. That's the plan. That's the ultimate plan. Fight and then to get the big money fighting John Jones at heavyweight.
That'd be
not that he could win just because it's going to be a big fight. You know what I'm saying? Money fight. And that's the thing. And I think, you see, if the WWE was on it, they would start feeding that narrative where there was a hero or a guy that kind of like came to save wrestling. Like, you're not just going to abandon us, and started calling him out, calling him out, shit like that.
It's too late because they're having him fight that big ass 7'4" dude.
Yeah, I want to see what that looks like. I don't think that guy
it's gonna be a shit
that guy doesn't have the in-ring prowess to. He messed up. He messed up a call the other night when he tried to like hand him palm him. Get him over the rope. I was like, this is weak.
Yeah, he's green.
All right, let's move on, man. Let's close it out with a. Where do you want to go with it, Pops?
WBC, man. What do we think?
Woo! Okay.
Good or bad for baseball? And everyone remember the caveat is Major League Baseball is the one that put this together.
Okay, so
good. Let's do it this way. Good or bad when they did it early in the year? Is there a good time to ever do it? I don't think there is.
I don't think there is either. Okay, so wait. Big picture, great for baseball.
Yes.
Big picture, great for baseball. It showed you how baseball can be played.
The fun.
It showed you how
the fun
crowd could look like, how much fun it could be. It really brought the kids out to enjoy baseball again. And it brought in a whole new segment of media talking baseball.
Yep.
So now check this out. There's always been Dominican radio that's going to talk baseball, Dominican baseball. There's always been Puerto Rican, some people in Puerto Rico. If I advise you to watch, it's in Spanish. A guy named Playmaker, he's a Puerto Rican pundit analyst, talking with this Dominican show about who's better, Dominican baseball or Puerto Rican baseball. Now, mind you, there's a lot to this argument because there's other people that are proven to be really good.
But Japanese is like a word.
Yeah, exactly. But it was such a good conversation, bro.
Oh yeah.
Because these guys are talking like we have X amount, and then the one guy comes out and goes, "Well, the reason you're playing, you'd have to watch it to really see the argument and how nuanced the arguments are on both sides." That I was like, I never even knew these conversations were being held. I didn't know like this national pride, the level it was at. And then you see Mexico taking sheet chops at Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying? When the analysts are talking, and you all of a sudden you see this whole new branch of conversation about baseball that as Americans, when we're watching MLB only, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you watch Spanish soccer. Spanish soccer sounds like to the left, go, all that passion, right? And then you watch the American channel. It's like, well, Bob, he went to Corona State, and I believe his coach was, and it's all this bullshit, right? And you see the difference of how they talk, how they approach it, how they whatever. And we talked about it. Remember, you're going to the Mets Marlins on a corporate retreat, and there's a good chance that everybody in the great seats down below you guys are gonna be corporate tickets. Are gonna be
the closer to like home base and like right at the guts is always more corporate.
Right, it's always corporate, right? Yeah. And then the difference between that and the WBC is hardcore fans had those seats. Hardcore fans had those seats with instruments and signs, and the party was going. And the thing was this, because I was down there. I was down there around the stadium a couple of times, and I thought it would fall off because I knew Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic was going to be crazy. But then when I saw Venezuela, Nicaragua, like those teams represented, I saw Cuban people, like the Cuban team, and I saw all these different.
The Cuban thing is a different situation, but yeah.
Yeah, it was more of a front. But when I saw how dope that atmosphere was, bro, I was like, man, I'm sold. Now the dark side of it is the injuries. Here's the thing. I'm gonna give you one injury. How many injuries were there? Do you remember? Do you know?
I mean, the two big ones was Altuve and Edwin Diaz.
So then there was really one, because the Diaz one. Come on, bro. If he hurt himself celebrating, he probably would have hurt himself coming out of the shower.
Let me tell you something. If that knee tore like that clean, from him just hopping around, I think that shit was ready to pop anyway.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't think. Not that way. Maybe there was a tweak, maybe there's whatever, but you're not going to convince me that it was going to happen regardless. That was going to happen. Now the Altuve hand,
the thumb, yeah,
that's a tough one. That's a pure baseball injury, bro. That's a hard one, man. It's a hard one to deal with. So, but overall, the injuries weren't. It wasn't a lot. You know what I'm saying? I think that
but it was just that they were big, high-profile players, 2 high-profile players.
Yeah. I think the benefit and the exposure outweighed the hiccups. You know what I'm saying? I really think like it revitalized my whole feeling about baseball.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't remember watching this many baseball games.
I caught a couple of games and I was like, all right. And I wasn't really even thinking that baseball was back yet. But I watched it and I was like, oh shit. And it reminded me of some of the talent that's out there. Yo, Ohtani versus Trout. Last pitch of the game for the game.
Did you see that sequence?
Come on, bro. That was you couldn't write a better script, bro. You could not write. I was rooting Mike Trout.
The only way that would have been a little bit more perfect is if there were runners on base instead of that double play.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, he could have easily gone yard on his own just to tie the game, which would have been a great narrative right there.
Yeah.
But if he would have had a runner on base and he jacks one, or you know, and it looked like it was going to start out that way, right? Because McNeil gets the walk, then they put in the pinch runner, and then Mookie Betts is up, you know, but then he just fucking double played it into it. But then here comes his teammate, 2 of the best players in baseball, and nobody knows about them because they play freaking in Anaheim.
They're so obscure. It's so crazy. How about this? I'll tell you what else it did. It once again highlighted the benefits of small ball compared to the long ball, man.
And we're going to see it now. We're going to see it in the league.
And showed you how the Japanese play. The Japanese play right, bro. I love their quality of baseball. They play some really good. And again, I'm not the student of the game, but I know what I'm watching. I'm like, yo, I like some of the moves.
Yeah, and it also helps that those guys have been playing together for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
The Japanese team has played together like a long time, including Ohtani.
And I'm watching. I'm like, any one of those guys can play in the majors. Any one of those guys can play in the majors. They're legit. And that's the other thing. You saw the parity around. I mean, don't get me wrong. You saw some teams like Italy, Nicaragua. There were some teams that just couldn't. They didn't have enough talent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But then you saw some teams, man. Some teams that can play. There's some players out there. That Dominican Republic team, bro.
They disappointed, man.
They did, but then again, they were just put together. They're not a team that's been playing. There's not a lot of chemistry there. There's not a lot of whatever.
That's to your point about talent versus team.
Oh yeah, yes. You're right. What do you call it? But I loved watching that lineup. That lineup was come on, man. You know what I'm saying? And then the Puerto Rican lineup was solid, and just players all over the field, man. I liked it.
And what else I was happy to see, and they talked about it. I think in that final game, you know, the other night, the U.S. players came together as a team.
Yeah.
They didn't. It didn't end up becoming just a bunch of good guys, even though we didn't have all our best players, especially at the pitching staff. You know, all our best pitchers didn't. You know, our best pitchers didn't pitch.
I would love to see like a dream team type situation where all our best players really an Aaron Judge.
Yeah, but they came together as a team. They took it serious, like, you know, representing the U.S. And look, they went all the way to the finals. You know, they were. I mean,
I like it. I got nothing bad to say about the WBC. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it actually sparked my interest to see what this year's baseball league and some of the changes is going to look like. So I'm actually like paying attention again. because I really was not on my radar that baseball was gonna baseball was almost a full swing.
Right.
Opening games are coming up and all that stuff. And I was like, whatever. But I'm also now I'm like, oh, okay. My aunt gets tickets. I'm gonna have to hit her up. Maybe I will go to a game this year. You know what I mean? Over there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make it a point, especially because I have higher expectations for the Mets when they come down here.
Go catch them. Hell yeah.
And go catch them more often than I would in the past, where I would just go once every couple of years or so, because they suck most of the time.
Let's close it out with the UFC, man. Let's close it out with that UFC fight. What did you think, Usman versus?
I think Edwards should have won that fight. You could have made a case that Usman could have won that fight by decision, but it didn't look like it.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you have to beat the champ, right? That's always the thing.
I'm a big believer in that.
You got to win it. You can't just go, even keel, even though you may be quote unquote the better fighter and the more, established fighter, and you're a bigger legend and people consider you one of the best fighters of all time and all that. You had to go and take it from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't. And Edwards did. I can say that Edwards didn't hold like I didn't come out of that fight saying that Edwards held on. I came out of that fight saying Edwards won that fight.
Mm-hmm.
But I could say that Usman could have won that fight, but you didn't see it.
I'm gonna. This is the route I'm gonna take. I mentioned it at the end of my commentary last week. I had Usman. I thought Usman was gonna win, and then at the very end, I said, "Yo, look, the only thing, the psychology of getting knocked out is no joke. When you get knocked out, coming back from that knockout, you're a little chinny. You're not quite there, right? And it's not so much his physical reaction that I was worried about. It was his mental and emotional reaction, and I think he was very gun shy at certain points in that fight. Punches that he knocked down Kobe with and knocked out, what do you call it with? I was like, yo, that shit is badass. In this fight, I felt like he held back. And somebody said, yeah, his wrestling wasn't dominant. It wasn't, but I got to give props to Edwards. His game plan was phenomenal in stuffing some of those.
And that's familiarity, right?
Yeah.
That's familiarity with the opponent.
Third fight, I think. So they got him fighting Kobe next. I'm not mad at that.
You think? I was gonna ask. Do you think that's really should be the next guy?
Yeah, he's the second best in the division, bro. I don't care what anybody says. I came out hot being a Jorge Masvidal fan, and I still am to a certain extent. But he's not the fighter that Kobe is, and he's not the fighter that Usman is. So let's give him the third. And unfortunately, you lost, bro. You lost to Kobe. You didn't just lose, you got dominated. You didn't just lose to Usman, you got dominated. You know what I'm saying? Go beat Gilbert Burns if you can.
Fight Nate again.
Go beat Gilbert Burns and then wait to see who wins Kobe Edwards. Because now you punch Kobe, you suck up. See, I don't respect that shit, bro. You sucker punch Kobe, and I don't like Kobe.
Yeah.
But you sucker punch
Let me ask you this. I agree with your view on how it should go, but I'm just talking about matchup wise. I think Masvidal matches up good with Edwards. Just from a matchup perspective.
Say it again.
I think Masvidal matches up well against Edwards from a style.
Javi pointed something out, right? When he was fighting Nate Diaz. And when I went back and watched those fights, right, I saw it too, what he was saying. You can take Jorge Masvidal into deep water and drown him. He was, if they wouldn't have stopped that Nate Diaz fight, there's a good chance Nate Diaz could have won that fight. Because he was wearing him down systematically.
Yeah.
Right? And then as you watch fights, Jorge gets to this point where he can't win, and he just starts to coast and try to survive. He's done it. Watch his losses. His losses, he doesn't get knocked out, but there's a point in the fight where he can't win, and all of a sudden he's like, well, I'm not going to get knocked out. I'm going to make it to the end, and he kind of gets in that mode. Mm-hmm. I I think Leon Edwards, right, is a more skilled wrestler. He's more skilled. He's a more skilled wrestler. I think that it would be a great striking matchup.
That's why I'm thinking like it just from a matchup, it just seems intriguing that Masvidal would have a chance. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though when Masvidal fought Usman, obviously we know what that happened there, right? And and you can sit there and say, well, how could you think that Masvidal would have a chance to even beat Edwards if Usman couldn't do it? Because I think the matchup, the styles, is different, and I think it would be intriguing. But at the same time, I agree with you that he's not he's got to wait.
Yeah,
to get that shot.
I think Masvidal is at the point where he's just right about to get journeyman status. He's right there. One more loss, and I don't think he already has a lot of losses, bro. He has more losses than like Kobe has wins. I don't know if you know that, Masvidal. He has like I've seen him on loss, but he made a resurgence, and I think he peaked, and I think he did it the right way. He got to expose. He sucked up every dollar and every dime, but I think there's a clear separation between him, Kobe, Edwards, and Usman. There's definitely a
I would agree.
There's a line there. There's a line. He goes into that. To me, he goes into that second tier of Nate Diaz. Now, mind you, we're talking 170 elite. So I know people are gonna be like, no, but he's elite. Conor McGregor. What do you call it? Wonder Boy. That level. Gilbert Burns. I think he's in there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These other guys, nah, he ain't messing with them.
It'll be interesting to see. Do you think Edwards? I'm not saying that this is the scenario, but I'm trying to find a better comp. But Edwards beating Usman, who's the big dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now he beats that big name, one of the best ever. Can he hold on to this title? Can he hold on to this title?
Who, Edwards?
Yeah. Like I don't want to say Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson.
No.
But
Edwards won 13 in a row before he beat Usman, and he beat the people in the division. He's legit. I think this Kobe fight is going to tell us everything we need to know, because it could be styles make fights. Usman could be Kobe. Kobe could be. Chill out, man. Why are you barking at? Kobe could be Edwards. Edwards could be Usman, and that little triangle like that. It could be that. Right. We never know. You know what I mean? And then you got to see who else fits in that equation. So we'll never know. I mean, it's going to play itself out. It's UFC. They do it right. They're going to fight each other. So we're never going to have to sit here and wonder. Not like in boxing. Well, I just want to. One last thing. There's two really good fights coming up. If you go on the Sports is My Love Language page, you'll see I already kind of broke down Benavidez versus Plant at the middleweight division. Phenomenal fight, guys. It's on Showtime pay-per-view this weekend. Phenomenal fight, bro. If you can watch it and catch it, definitely you're gonna watch a show. That's gonna be a phenomenal fight. It's gotten really personal. Benavidez especially has crossed the line. But you have the young gun, the talent, the guy that has the world at his hands in Benavidez. And you have a guy who's, he did it the right way, man. He's worked hard. He got to the pinnacle, lost to Canelo, and now he had to battle back. And now we're going to see, are you a journeyman? Are you a guy that's going to be the gatekeeper? Or are you still the real deal and can make it back to a championship level? And that whole storyline or whatever is fantastic. And now coming up, you also have Ryan Garcia versus my man, what do you call it? My man, Tank Davis. The thing about that is there's a little controversy because there's a rehydration clause that people are complaining about, that Ryan Garcia is complaining about, because now it's a 135 fight and they're not allowing him to, I believe, rehydrate past 145, I think it is, where normally when he goes and he rehydrates, he can rehydrate up to like 150. You know what I mean? But Tank is like, I don't want to fight a 150 pounder. I want to fight a 135 pounder. So he put that stipulation in, And some people are saying, yo, that's weak sauce on Tank's side. Other people are saying Brian's stupid for taking the fight that way. But if we're gonna make it happen, let's make it happen, bro. We'll see. Anything else you want to catch up with last minute?
No, no. Oh, Kansas
All
State
right.
beat Michigan State.
Huh?
Yeah, Kansas State beat Michigan State. Sorry.
Oh yeah, where are we in the Final Four, man? Did you? I mean, in
My,
the
my bracket's a hot mess. My bracket's a hot mess.
your bracket's a hot mess. Yo, let me tell you something. What do you think about Rick Pitino going to St. John's?
I think it's good. I think it's good for the school. It's a big name.
Let me tell you something. Go
It
ahead,
should
guys.
help revitalize that team, but we'll see.
That's okay. I have two thoughts on it. If this was a 55, 60-year-old Rick Pitino, bro, I would be one of the happiest people in the world because literally, you know how fucking dope that would be? Where if we can keep the talent in the Garden, keep the talent in New York City that's here, we'd be number one. It'd be the Big East again. You know what I'm saying? We'd be monsters in basketball, college basketball. At 72-ish,
And he's older than that.
I think he's like 74. Does Rick Pitino still have it to recruit that young base?
He's still a name.
And remember, St. John's is a tiny little school, man. It's a tiny little private school with not a lot of amenities. It's up in the boondocks.
No, he is 70. I'm sorry. You're right.
You said what?
70.
Yeah, it's up in the boon. It's not like it offers, man. You know,
He's still a big name. He's still a name.
Yeah, he's still. I hope because
and we'll talk about this. We'll probably talk about it next week as the tournament goes in deeper into its our topic for next time, or even in general for college basketball.
Yeah, we'll definitely go into
because of portal, transfer portal. Are the existing blue bloods going on the way out and new bloods coming in?
Yeah. I'm going to that, and we're going to talk a lot of college football next week. I want to definitely do a segment. Anybody who wants to get on a separate show and talk college football, man, yo, send me a DM or hit me up. We could definitely do that. We could definitely chat. So many beautiful pot lines. You know, does the Pac-12 have the best quarterbacks in the country? You know what I'm saying? Is Miami going to be back with Cristobal? Is primetime for real in Colorado? Is Florida State back? You know, this is Alabama falling off, or are they just reloading? Auburn. There's so many different storylines going on with is USC? How far away are they from a championship? The problems with Georgia, the transfers and all this other stuff. Yo, let's talk about it, man. Whoever's down, I'm down. All right, guys. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming out tonight, commenting. Definitely like, share, let people know that we're here. Come in, join us. Sometimes if you want to join us live and pop in, and if you have a point, let us know, man. Let us know. Hit us behind the scenes. We could probably bring you on. We can have a nice conversation about sports. You could join us in our living room, join us in our barbershop. And like I said, man, sometimes it's analytical, sometimes it's straight from the gut, but you're gonna hear what we have to say. As usual, I want to thank my man, PD Pablo, El Schefter, for coming through. Always with the hard stats, knowing what he's talking about. Shout out to my man Akil. Shout out to my man Javito. Shout out to my man Dre. Hopefully we get you guys back on here soon. And it goes a little something like this. Mark Twain said the most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you discover why. This has been the Sports is My Love Language podcast. I'm your host, Dropping Dimes, a.k.a. the Hopeful Romantic, a.k.a. the Feminist with Show with His Tendencies. And I want to give you a big shout out and thank you for helping us walk in our why. Peace out, people, man. Have a great